All right. We're live.
We're in. Let's do it.
It's not freaking easy, man. Okay. So I'm here today with Isak from Coast to Coast. He is helping us put together some deep dive content for our members relative to AI and the impact that it will have on restorers and their marketing plans. Why don't you go ahead, take a moment, introduce yourself, background, and what gets you excited about what's on the horizon.
Yeah, that's great. So my name's Isak Rasmus. Family man here in the middle of Wisconsin. Been in the marketing industry for about 21 years now. Was a business to business sales right away, and then office supplies. Oh, it was great, man. It was great. It's kind of like office before the office, and then I got into digital marketing. And now that's kind of led me into helping others use AI to really increase their sales and their productivity in the office while still providing some of those other services as well.
Okay, awesome. When you look across, well, okay, let me zoom back. So if our current members are tuning in right now and they're looking at our conversation, and trying to make the choice as to whether or not they're going to set some time aside to go to your deep dive that you're putting together for us, what would they expect to learn?
Yeah, so really the basis of AI and how it can help the particular departments within your organization, right? So, believe it or not, AI can be used in your accounting department. It probably already is. It can be used in your training and HR department. It can be used in your sales department. So really just the opportunity it presents to your company to really maybe improve some of the assets you have and streamline some of that stuff too. So onboarding becomes easier. Processes become simpler, right? It really that's what's important, and it's new and it's not.
Uh-oh.
Now it's great information as you can get, and then make some educated decisions on yourself. But one of the really big things we're going to be touching on, and this is to really be able to harness the power of make it use it appropriately for the task you're trying to complete, right? And that is done through prompts. So we're going to be starting from prompting 101. On that fourth day, we're going to maybe go into a master's class if we want to, and I think people will be very impressed about what they see.
Okay. You broke up a little bit through that.
Oh, apologize.
Could you give me a little bit of a recap? I know you got excited, and then I was like, "Oh man, we just lost."
And he's gone. Yeah, I'm always excited. Yeah, so let me know if that happens again. I saw you freeze up a little bit too. I didn't know if that was you or me because mine.
No worries, man. No worries.
But what I talked about was kind of how AI can be used in every single department within your organization, right? So we're gonna be talking specifically to marketers, but I will touch on how it can be utilized in other areas, and we are going to put an emphasis at the end of every. And that's what's most important to utilize AI is to understand the prompting so you can effectively use the tool.
Got it. Okay. I get it. Give me an example of how, like, I'm an ops guy. I'm not a marketing sales guy. Give me an example of how you would use AI, outside of marketing, like accounting. How would I use AI in my accounting department?
Yeah. So what you would do with that is you would take AI and you would stack different products, right? So you would take maybe your QuickBooks software and you could stack that with your Dash and then put AI in between the two to start to take some of that human involvement out of it, right? So when it gets into the accounting point, you're really just utilizing it to be more efficient with programs you're already using.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So like maybe expense entry, that kind of stuff.
Yep. Absolutely. Yep.
I know, because I was a knucklehead contractor for so many years, ran a large company and had a large team and had people that handled stuff. And then I recently got into, now I'm a consultant and I don't have a team. like it's either Anthony does it or it doesn't get done, sort of a thing.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
it was the QuickBooks mobile app. And I was like, oh, I'm going to try this expense entry on the QuickBooks mobile app. And I never realized, like, dude, you can use that thing to take a picture and it will read the damn receipt and input the vendor,
Yeah.
input the amount. And I'm like,
oh,
I didn't even know this existed. Like, that's so good.
It's even easier now. You just attach your card to it and it'll pull it right from your bank. You don't even have to take the picture anymore. So yeah, and so that's AI, right? So we've been using some of these technologies already. But now it's just with open AI, which is kind of the grandfather of all these. It started as open AI, they started ChatGPT and so on. They're allowing us to use products and systems more effectively, right? They're not eliminating the human, but they're allowing us to just streamline some things that maybe we don't need to take time on.
Got it. So let's start at a 10,000-foot view, and then we'll drive further in.
Yeah.
What do you see will be, the greatest impact that AI is going to have in marketing, in restoration? Like, what do you 3 years from now, we're not going to be doing X. Instead, we will be doing X. Like, give me a use case scenario of how you feel like AI is going to impact us.
Yeah, no problem. And you're seeing some of this already. And I know that, I know they're starting to dip their feet in the restoration industry. I know there is, I work with roofers also, and they're already in. There's an AI training program, right, where they put the AI goggles on and they're on a roof, right? They're training, they're putting on the flashing. They're not on a roof, right? So onboarding is going to become so much more efficient and quicker, right? If you eliminate that human trainer now, right? That maybe ums and ahs, and if I'm training the class, we're going to get sidetracked and talk about Packer football probably for about 15 minutes, and then maybe come back, right? So it just allows to really streamline, how we're onboarding individuals, right? Or how about this? I always tell my restoration companies, if you want to get a review, the best time to get a review is right when you get to the house and get that drying equipment set. Because here's the reality. They didn't call you. So when they called you, in their mind, the service they were looking for was someone to get there and start that process. They weren't necessarily calling you to get to that end process and do the walkthrough and everything's dry. So what happens, right? We get it just happened to my mom, right? They had a huge bunch of rain. The city sewers backed up, right? They had to come put drying equipment in. She was so excited when she got there. Well, by the end, they just couldn't get that thing dry. The equipment had to stay there a little bit longer. They're getting a little bit more frustrated, right? Well,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, there's a product where we could simply write a little paragraph script, send them an AI video of maybe the project manager that they're working from, and you simply just talk into a mic for about 5 minutes, and then they have your voice and your mouth movements. And now, rather than having to spend time calling that customer, we can send them out a video and say, here's where we're at. Here's where the percentages are at. We're looking to get this equipment out at that time, right? We can send that email, then we're done. So it can help with, right, the customer experience. And that's a huge part, right? Now, some of our restoration companies are offering non-emergency services, right? So they're offering carpet cleaning, tile and grout cleaning, right? Well, we can really start to eliminate some of these phone calls you don't need to be taking by having AI chat on our website, right? Hey, why are you here today? Do you have an emergency? No. What can we help you with? Right? Well, I'm interested in your carpet cleaning. Okay, well, here's a little bit about our carpet cleaning. Would you like to know more? We're removing that human interaction. We're allowing someone to streamline in that funnel, right? And take them over to where we want them, and that's to purchase or book that with us, right? But it's saving us time, right? And also allows us to answer questions a little bit more effectively. And if you have, and this can get as unique as you want, right? You can just ask the questions and give them multiple choice, or you can even have, AI be able to reference your frequently asked questions in other parts of your websites to really have a robust conversation. I'll tell you, when you go out, I was just on GoDaddy today. We were working through an update we had to make, and I was able to get through most of it with AI, and I didn't have, eventually We had to get a human eventually. Well, then I had to sit for 40 minutes until someone could come on. But we got pretty close, right? And I know they're going to get better. I'm confident. A lot of this is learning, right? It's only been out since 2015, so it's still learning. I'm confident if I ever have to do that again, I would think that maybe they would train their bot to be able to handle my questions. Now, the sales guy, how does it affect the marketing guy, right?
Yeah.
Man, this is where it gets really exciting, right? You can just ask it to write an email to John about our plumbing program, right? Or I can say, I'm working with a plumber named John from so-and-so company. These are the hurdles I've had to get to him. Here's some things he's interested. Here's some hurdles in his business. Write him an email, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and this is where this prompting comes in, right? So, number one, it can help with content generation to our potential leads, right? I'm having troubles having somebody commit to me, right? And he's given me his roadblocks and I've taken good notes. I can take that back to ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT to give me some ideas for these roadblocks that these individuals are having. Or maybe they say it's a roadblock, but they might be talking about something completely different. And ChatGPT can provide, ideas. It's not going to be an answer for you every time, but it can be ideas to push you in the right way. You can create a marketing calendar for yourself. Here is all of the plumbers I'm working with. Please give me a calendar for the next month on warm touches, emails, events, whatever the case may be, right? So it can really become a sales assistant. And if you're prompting it, and we'll go into this in the deep dive, your starting channels, you can really train that bot to eventually where it almost knows what you're looking for before you even type it in there, right? So when I'm generating content, sometimes the first 3 or 4 prompts have to be pretty significant, but eventually I'm just editing or copying the title of the page and put it in there, and it's giving me the content back, and then I'm editing it from there. But it's pretty close to what I'm looking for, right?
Gotcha.
Yeah. So really, it's a lot of opportunity for sales. A lot of opportunity. I'm sorry about that. Let me turn that down. A lot of opportunity for sales.
How's what about in prospecting? Like, does it AI have any application on the prospecting side? Like, hey, give me the top 20 plumbers in my market.
Yeah, exactly. I can give you the top 20 plumbers in your market, and I can give you a market share report on all 20 of those. It's based on what they can find on the internet, right? So yes, absolutely, it can provide that information. Now it can even go a little bit deeper. I know we talked about stacking stacking ChatGPT with other softwares, right? So a lot of these, you've probably seen Jasper, some of these other ones. They're actually ChatGPT 3.5. They're just pre-prompting stuff for you, right? So when you're creating that title tag, it's just pre-prompted ChatGPT to make that title tag, if that makes sense.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. In these interviews, I always want to make sure that if anybody's tuning in, we are giving them content that they can take away and do something with today. So, simple question: if I'm a DIY on the marketing side restorer, maybe I'm an owner operator, right? Small shop. I don't have the resources to hire somebody like you. What would be the top 5 tools that you would say, look, these are the things you're going to want to look into and try and leverage?
Yeah. So prompting, and prompting, right? So
Dude, it reminds me of like back in the day when like Google search finally started to get a little more sophisticated. Like you needed to be smart to know what to type into Google to return what you needed.
What you're looking for. Yeah. So really, number one, go out and create an account. It's free, right? ChatGPT 4 does cost about $20 a month. You get a little better output, takes a little bit longer to generate. So get on there. There's also Bard. I know I'm talking a lot about ChatGPT, but Google frantically released theirs after ChatGPT. Google was planning on hanging on to theirs till like 2025, but then they saw market share starting to tank a little bit.
Yep.
So they released it, and their competitive advantage is it could search Google, but now ChatGPT is offering that too, right? So those two are going to kind of go back and forth. So get out there, try it. It's and like I said, it can be as simple as, write an email to John, right? And then the next one, get a little bit more detailed, right? Or ask it to, here's the big one. Yeah. So number 3, remember this phrase, act as you will. So you're telling ChatGPT to act as a sales and marketing expert. You will generate a cold email for these 20 plumbers we were talking about, right? So act as you will. You can tell it that, we're talking about marketing and training. You can say act as Zig Ziglar, right? The big sales training guy, right? You could, and it's gonna do its best to provide information in that tone, right? And then prompting again, right? Because if you're not prompting effectively, it's not going to go anywhere for you. It's going to stay pretty, elementary, right? Until you can get in there. And so the big one is, though, I was talking about the prompting, is that you will, and then act as, and then you honestly, you can ask ChatGPT. You can really turn into the AI for ChatGPT. So a lot of times, when I am maybe putting together some kind of flyer or something like that for my clients, we're going to give it as much as we can, and then we're going to ask ChatGPT what else it needs from us, so it can be more effective for what it wants to do, right? So there's some give and take there, right? Sometimes you need to do a little bit more instructing. I like to say I become the AI for the AI. It sounds kind of creepy, right? But that's the reality of it, right? We're prompting, we're getting as far as we think we need to give them information, and then finding out what else they need. And then what else that does is it allows you to maybe keep out some of the stuff you don't need to have in there to confuse the AI also, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was putting together a scavenger hunt for my wife for Mother's Day, and I was trying to use ChatGPT to write the clues or the hints
for
the scavenger hunt. And I just listening to you, I'm like, crap. If I would have had better prompts, it probably would have worked. But I found myself being frustrated. I'm like, these aren't witty enough. And I'm like, make it wittier.
Yeah.
ChatGPT, like, I don't know. But I the other thing I laughed at as you were talking was act as, right? Like, I wonder what the act as Anthony Nelson, like, is it smart enough to, like, has it seen enough of my crap that it will note my sarcasm and casual demeanor, like whatever the things that are uniquely me, right?
Yeah.
And then like insert I don't know. Now I'm going to hang up with you and go be like, do you know me?
Let me apologize ahead of time, because productivity will go down a little bit after this, because it's impossible not to get lost in there, right? You start having a little bit, ask it to tell you a joke, and you can kind of go back and forth, and really you can encourage it, right? So like so say we're starting to put together blogs, right? And it's kind of a time consuming process. We'll do it in sections, right? We'll do it in sections, and excuse me.
No problem.
Oh man. Oh, sorry. Now I lost my train of thought. There we were talking about getting in there and doing the blog. Yeah, we'll do it in sections and kind of break it down piece by piece, and then marry the information together.
So this is the thing I can't stop thinking about. How does that, like being number one from an SEO perspective is like the holy grail, right?
Yeah.
If you can be number one for water damage Chicago, from an SEO perspective, you're in a great position.
Yeah.
How is all of this? Because I have to imagine things operate on a slide, right? Like, as the use and effectiveness of AI in creating written content goes up, Google's probably going to decrease how it impacts the algorithm in that search, right? So if I'm a restorer trying to read the tea leaves on what's going to happen next, where should I be placing my emphasis in light of all of these tools? Like I've got tools that help me write better blogs, but I can also reasonably expect that blogs are probably going to become a thing of the past, if not irrelevant. Or if I'm using AI to write those, Google's going to know that I'm using AI and immediately say this is an original content.
Yeah, no, I got you. Yeah, I got
So
you. So
what's the path that I chart as a restorer with regards to developing marketing and sales content moving forward?
yeah, that's perfect. So I will tell you that Google was uneasy at first. And then when this is all about money, right? At the end of the day, they're a business too. When they saw that market share slide and they heard that, was it Nokia or Samsung, one of them was going to make Bing their browser, that got their attention. So you know what? I'll send you the article after. Google came out and said, hey, as long as the AI content is a value, it's going to count the same as human written, right? So,
oh, interesting.
yeah, that's something to keep in mind, and I'll share that article with you. So if you want to maybe put in the comments of the live,
yeah. No, that'd be helpful.
It's right from Google. So they're more than happy to take that content on, because here's the thing: it's learning. Eventually, it's going to outperform us, right? It already is in some cases. They've done copyright tests between a copywriter and a ChatGPT, and ChatGPT wins just routinely, right? So, yeah, but they're fine with it. And here's the other thing to keep in mind: Google had the largest update started in about December. And it finished it off around January. And I'm not saying they're going to they make tweaks to them all the time, right? But this was a really, really big one. And what they came out and said, listen, no more of this spam content, no more of these thousands of landing pages that are saying water damage in Chicago, water damage in Lake Forest. Like that is 100% spam. I'll put that article in there as well, right? So what they're looking for is what you just talked about. Blogs are making a comeback, my man.
No way.
Yeah, blogs are making a huge comeback because that's updated, helpful content, right? They want new content. Because think about this right now. You said you use that water damage in Chicago, right?
Yeah.
And I always tell people, you know, what is SEO though? Are you talking about like the first organic listing? Because I mean, if you think about it, you have to go 3 or 4 scrolls down to get to that below the maps, right? So it's tougher. I mean, people are making it there, but you know, when you're in an emergency, you're typically clicking the first thing you see, right? But I put that in there, and I would just want you to guess how many results Google came up with for water damage in Chicago, Illinois.
The total number of results.
Yep. That have
I mean, what, hundreds? I wouldn't even know what to guess.
40 million. So now think about this. And this is straight from one of the, I'll put this article in the chat in the section too. Do you think Google really wants more content? Do you think Google needs more pages that talk about Chicago, Illinois, and water damage, or do they need us to take this content that was created by humans and put it into AI and ask it to rewrite it with some additional prompts, right? So now we're coming back, and now we have updated content, which they're looking for, right? It's spelled out in the algorithm. We want updated content, right? So this will allow us to, AI can allow us to take that old content and update it, right? Because Google is looking for the newest and freshest, right? What else can that AI provide? We used to write those blogs. We probably didn't have frequently asked questions. What's more helpful than an article with frequently asked questions, right? So now we're going to rewrite our article. We're going to ask ChatGPT to give us 4 frequently asked questions, and we're going to edit those questions so it fits what we want with our business. And now we're going to upload that content. So now, not only did we update content, we were helpful and gave Google some frequently asked questions. Because if you've noticed sometimes, right? So I just did that water damage in Chicago, Illinois. So you have Google Guaranteed, you have PPC, which is just crazy. That is such a weird environment right now. Buyer beware. But the next thing I see before I get down to even the maps listings, I get people also asked,
Oh,
frequently
really?
asked questions, right? So just as long as you're adding structured snippets and Google's able to pull that information, now we can even start ranking in frequently asked, because that's I got to assume, because it's something Google had at the bottom of the page and it slowly
Mhm.
moved up, which tells me people are using it, right? They see
Yeah,
people
yeah.
using it, right? I can get as much information as I possibly can, right? And again, we're in a unique situation through stores that they're typically in an emergency, but what is this good for? Maybe good for some of our referral partners when they're doing checks, trying to figure out who we are, right? When we're going to talk to that plumber for the first time or that
Mhm.
agent for the first time, and they're going to go do some research on us online, and they can see, wow, these guys are really an authority, and that's what we're trying to tell Google too. We're an authority in this industry. We have updated content. We have frequently asked questions. We're giving you the content you want. Give us to the masses.
Got it. All right. If I'm, same phenotype, right? Like I'm a, owner, operator, restorer. Maybe I got a handful of individuals working for me, 8 people, let's call it. And I'm going to dedicate 2 hours a week to some sort of marketing activity. What should I do with that time? Should I write blogs? Should I, and where should that content go? Should it go on my website? Should it go on my Facebook? Should I be doing reels for Instagram? But I'm only going to give you one. That's the rule.
Yeah.
Where should I focus my time? Like, do one thing and do it well. What is it?
Video content.
Okay. Where does it go?
Video
Short form,
content.
long
What
form.
you house it on? So you house it on YouTube, and once it's in YouTube, you can really put it anywhere, right?
Okay.
And that's really setting you up for the future, right?
Mm-hmm.
The video content is there is a there's going to be a big need for everybody to have it here shortly, especially like when my kids are older, right? They don't want to read anything. But yeah, I would say video content, and that can be done with AI, right?
Okay.
I can put a link to a couple companies in the live, and it can be, like I said, it can be a video of you, but you're not filming it. You don't have to get the camera. You don't have to get the mic. You don't have to. All you're doing is you're speaking to a camera for 5 minutes. It's going to put a bunch of dots on your face, like the face recognition on your iPhone, and then you're just going to simply upload content that you've probably created on Chat GPT, edited it yourself, and then put it into AI.
Is this the same technology where they're like spoofing Biden and all that stuff now? I see in the social channels where they're like,
Oh yeah, so that's
like Biden's like, oh, let's go in the field and catch rabbits, and you're like, dude, he would never say that in this context. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So that is that is AI. So that's not the DAL E, but that is one of OpenAI's products is the DAL E, and that's the video and image AI. And so I keep talking about stacking, right? So someone else took the DAL E and pre-prompted it and then put it into their software and then took off from there. And yeah, there's some. My buddy sent me one, and it's buddies from college text, and I would not send it to anybody else or show it on here, but it's like, oh my gosh, man. And some people don't know this stuff is fake, right? So it's like, oh gosh, geez Louise. But yeah, I would say putting together those videos, right? And listen, those same videos we're talking about can be blogs. Those same blogs we're talking about can be videos, right? So let's and let's think about this. Apple just released their new VR headsets. Yeah, like $4,000 or something like that. If you don't think that eventually people are going to be working and surfing the internet with something plastered to their face instead of sitting in front of a computer like this, I think we're fooling ourselves, right? So now how important is video going to be? Because I don't want to be, sitting at something scrolling down like the Star Wars movie. Remember that as a little kid trying to keep up with reading that all the way down? So it's really just getting in line with even the market, right? So if you go out to the market and kind of see, where the money is going, right? It's going into the metaverse. That's video. That's AI video, right? So yeah, I would say video.
Got it. Okay. And then inverse question. What's one thing that you see a lot of restorers doing that they should just stop because it's not working?
So you're saying as far as marketing, or
Yeah, as far as marketing, put it same, same bucket, right? Like
yeah.
small restore, where do you see them spinning their tires, so to speak?
Well, a small one. I think the small ones have an issue when they initially rely on digital marketing or something like that immediately to grow their business, right? Like I'm a firm believer to get to where a restore wants to get to, they have to have referral partners, which is great for what John offers
Hmm.
these marketers. So I would say the biggest mistake is relying on digital marketing too much and not using these other tools to allow them to go get those referral partners, right? Sales through service. Maybe there is another small plumbing company who says, "Hey, man, I cannot find anybody to work." Well, ding,
Hmm.
ding, ding. How can I use AI and help them find somebody, right? Well, here's what I can do. I can create a chat GPT channel for him. And I can stack that with a product. I'll put it in, and I'm going to hold on to that. I'm going to talk about it during the deep dive.
Hmm.
I'm going to stack that with a product that will look for, anybody who is a plumber on LinkedIn, right? And give them a email specifically to them, which references content that's on their LinkedIn page by simply logging in to LinkedIn, connecting the two, and allowing it to give it the prompt, find people with plumbing in there or HVC or whatever the case, whoever these guys are, they're going to be referral partners, and send them an email. And here's what I want in the email, right? So I would say that would be that would be something good.
Every time I have a conversation about marketing, I feel like it's like my first year in, like taking my 101 classes in community college. Like, I don't think I learned anything that first year. Like, I just learned how much crap existed in the world that I was
Yep.
never going to know. Like, I
Yep.
was like, you know what? I heard I think it was a Warren Buffett quote or like a story where Warren Buffett is talking to this guy and the guy's like, I want to be as good as you. How do I become as good as you? And Warren Buffett tells him, write the 20 things that you want to accomplish with your life down on a sheet of paper. And so the guy diligently writes down 20 things that he wants to accomplish, gives it to Warren Buffett. He turns it around, hands it back, and says, cross off 18.
Mm,
That's how you get this good.
yeah.
Right. And I feel like a lot of that applies in this, right? Where
Yep.
you kind of need to choose the rabbit
Yep.
hole you're going to run down.
Yep.
Otherwise, you end up in this nebulous jack of all ineffective sort
Yeah.
of position, which is no fun to be in, right? There's
And you're
nothing
right.
worse than working hard and getting nothing done.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. So if you are, I would tell people, if you're going out and you want to use YouTube to educate yourself, this is one of my strategies. I go to YouTube. I go from the newest date and the shortest time, right? Because I don't have 20 minutes, right? And a lot of times, this, I know this. One guy can talk for 30 minutes and another guy can talk for 2 minutes, and you might get more out of
You
the
get the same
2 minute guy
stuff.
than you do the
You
30
just
minute.
basically told everybody not to watch our live.
Well, watch our live because this is important for what's coming up, right?
Yeah, I
But
get it.
no, you got me though. So but it's important. It's important to find the individuals that are talking specifically to what you want to touch on, because, like you
Yep.
said, AI is touching everything right now. It's everywhere, right? So make sure you find, you're finding content that's appropriate for what you're trying to achieve. And I would say, um, immediately, that's prompting. And until you feel great about prompting, that's when
Mhm.
you can move on to the next step. But until you feel comfortable with prompting effectively, um, that's how you unlock chat gpt, right? You can
Got it.
the better you prompt, the further in you can get. So
Awesome. Um, One good turn deserves another. What question do you have for me?
well, I mean, have you looked into AI? What are your initial thoughts on it? I mean, it sounds like you use it for your to do your wife's scavenger hunt. Did you use Chat GPT? Did you use one of the other ones? How'd you find it?
Use Chat GPT. Like I said, I wasn't impressed there. I have used Chat GPT, like if I'm trying to really cleverly craft. I tend to be long-winded in my written communication. That's just, I don't know how my brain works. And so a lot of the times I'll take what I'm authoring and throw it into Chat GPT and say, make this shorter, right? Help me edit down the content, right? And I have, that's been probably the most common thing that I've done with Chat GPT, but I'm not that sophisticated when it comes to these AI tools. I will say the one that I saw that I was like, all right, this is freaking cool, was Opus. Like, I'm going to take the content we're creating right now, I'm going to throw it into Opus, and it's going to spit back out 1-minute clips that I'll then regurgitate that are kind of like the highlight reels, along with titles and all the, that tickle the Google keyword algorithm and all that stuff. So those tools tend to be, like the turn and burn sort of tools tend to be pretty effective for a guy like me. But I'm like 101 level, right? I'm just learning what I don't know.
Well, and I think you just hit something on the head, right? It's go out and find the tools that are going to be effective for what you're trying to achieve, right? Like you said, that you found a product that works specifically for what you need done, right? You don't need to go find out, we talked about accounting earlier. Like, you wouldn't really have to spend time going into understanding how you could use AI in accounting. So don't waste your time there, right? And then also it's really brand new, right? It's new. 2015 is really when it first came out, right? So it's young, it's still learning, and it's not perfect, right? Like, even a lot of programmers are using this now, and they have to be careful because it's not 100%. It's not every time. So use it as a hybrid, right? It's really a hybrid.
Gotcha.
And you have do you have school aged kids?
I have 2 daughters. One is 6 and one is 2.5.
Right. So if you're by your student, mute this now. But this, I was just testing Chat GPT, right? My son had to write a small paper. He was only in 9th grade, so it was probably 1 page maybe on the Donner Party, right? So and so I just went to Chat GPT and I gave it a prompt and it whipped this out, and I'm like, oh, that's pretty good. Sure doesn't look like it's written by a 9th grader, but I go, you know what? Let me try this. Rewrite this as a 9th grader. And it come back with run-on sentences and, a few, you know what I mean? It was written like a 9th grader, right? And I'm this is wild. So it's got to be tough to be a professor these days. But like I said, listen, a true student uses its tools, right?
Well, it was like back in the day, right? They wanted to teach us all how to do long division, and meanwhile, we just, the graphing calculators just came out, and we're like, no way. Like,
same thing.
I'm going to learn the bare minimum to pass this class because I know, and then it was always like the professors are like, what happens if you don't have a calculator in your pocket? And I'm just like, hi. Like, I've got a calculator in my pocket all the time now.
We got everything we need in our pocket nowadays. Yeah, but it's fun. I mean, then there you go. Have some fun with your kids and stuff. Hop on, and that's a good way to learn it too. So my son wanted my middle son wanted a new. I think he said he wanted a new Xbox, or they needed another one so they each could have a screen to play on at the same time, right? Well, he hops on there. He's like, write a letter to my dad on why I need an expert. Act as my attorney. Write a letter to my dad on why I should get a new Xbox. And it wrote. I mean, it was a letter from an attorney, right? And stating facts on why it's important for the kid.
I don't want to get sued.
And what was really cool is that you could tell that it had knowledge of the current game. So it went in and kind of talked about Minecraft, how kids are learning how to program within Minecraft and stuff. It's more of an educational thing too. So it was, I mean, that's how detailed it can get, right? So it has the knowledge. You use it as that assistant, right? It's not going to take anybody's job. It's there to just make us more effective, right? And it does need babysitting, right? You have to watch it, you have to babysit, you have to read what comes out. Don't just post it, please. Read what comes out.
Right on. Well, Isak, thank you so much for taking some time to sit down and talk story with me today. Anything in close?
No, that's it. Just make sure you guys tune in Thursday, and if not, I'm sure they're available to download and stuff too. And then feel free to reach out for any one-on-one needs.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much for your time.
Take care, Anthony.